She was a beautiful and dignified queen, but the king didn't love her. Even on their wedding night, facing his beautiful wife, the king's heart remained unmoved. He even said with disgust, "Don't come near me." Before the queen's death, the king left a curse. "May we never meet in the next life." But at that moment, the queen, fueled by anger, sits up from her coffin and becomes full of life and energy. Nobody knows that the queen's body now houses the soul of a modern person. She isn't swayed by the king's good looks at all. She even subtly mocks the king, using the excuse that the tea is too hot, and rolls her eyes at him. Setting down the teacup, the queen becomes composed and serious again. "By the way, your majesty, is there something you need?" The king's cold voice responds, "There's something suspicious about Queen Selena's death. I suspect it was a poison that gradually disappears from the body over time." A drop of cold sweat forms on the queen's forehead. "That means I was deliberately murdered." The king answers expressionlessly, once more, "Since I didn't personally perform an autopsy, I can't be certain. More importantly, there's no evidence." The queen's face darkens. "Autopsy? Is that regretful look because you couldn't? Is this some kind of horror story?" Seeing her disgusted expression, the man suddenly feels like teasing her. He looks at the queen seriously and asks, "Do you remember when you poisoned yourself and collapsed 6 months ago?" The queen senses trouble and answers vaguely, "I suppose something like that happened." The king mocks the queen with a contemptuous tone. "After you were found unconscious, you said you did it to get my attention. Is this the same situation? Being ridiculed like this by the king? And most importantly, the current queen doesn't love him at all." She quickly waves her hands. "How could I possibly risk my life doing something so foolish?" Seeing the man's disbelieving expression, the queen immediately makes her feelings clear. "I did cause a lot of trouble before. I completely understand why you'd say that, but I won't seek your majesty's attention anymore. No matter how much I longed for your love, all I'd get is pity. I don't need that kind of affection now." Then, to prove she's serious, the queen smiles and suggests, "How about we sleep in separate rooms?" The next day, she sits with her stepdaughter Rosalyn having tea. Having been a fashion designer in her previous life, now inhabiting the body of the wicked stepmother, she only thinks about how to dress up the adorable child before her. However, the moment she shows a kind smile, Princess Rosalyn shrinks back in fear and quickly apologizes. "Did I do something wrong again?" Elvira's face darkens as she thinks to herself, "I should have known better than to smile." For some reason, this face looks beautiful normally, but when it smiles, it looks particularly sinister and terrifying. The wicked stepmother, obsessed with beauty, drove all beautiful women out of the castle and took pleasure in tormenting them. Princess Rosalyn suffered the same treatment, enduring various forms of torment. This is why Princess Rosalyn now trembles with fear whenever she sees this stepmother who came back from the dead. But now isn't the time to worry about Rosalyn. According to classic fairy tales, the wicked stepmother only has one fate: death. That is, dancing to death in red-hot iron shoes. Elvira reaches an important conclusion. Her life and death lie in Rosalyn's hands. Her top priority now is to improve their relationship, so she apologizes to Rosalyn very sincerely. "I deeply regret the time I spent tormenting you, princess." The little princess looks at the wicked stepmother before her in disbelief. She hears Elvira say sincerely, "I know what I did in the past has become an unchangeable fact, but I still want to express my apology to you." The little princess clutches her dress tightly, unsure of what to do. Perhaps sensing the child's struggle, Elvira immediately says, "You don't have to force yourself. It's fine if you want to go rest." Hearing this, Rosalyn feels relieved. She stands up and politely bids Elvira farewell. But who would have known, the moment she turns around, she bumps into the king. She falls hard to the ground. This breaks Elvira's heart. She rushes forward to help, asking Rosalyn if she's hurt and if it hurts. Rosalyn looks at Elvira with both fear and confusion. The king tells Rosalyn to leave first. He has questions for Elvira. Rosalyn has no choice but to leave. Afterwards, the two sit together. The king sips his tea and teases Elvira. "Has the sun risen from the west? Since when do you care so much about Rosalyn?" Looking at the king before her, Elvira really wants to slap him. Though the king is incredibly handsome and a capable ruler, he's a complete scumbag. He not only ignores Rosalyn but also treats Elvira with disgust and distance. Elvira can only admit her past wrongs and promise to change. "Your majesty should be kinder to Rosalyn and be a proper father." The king is stunned. Hearing these words come from Elvira is truly unexpected. The king smiles coldly. "That's none of your business. Rosalyn is my property. I'll handle her." Elvira explodes instantly, slamming the table and shouting at the king, "You call your own daughter a property? How are you fit to be a father? As her stepmother, I have the right to intervene. If you won't care for her, I will." Elvira's furious scolding leaves the king sweating profusely, unable to speak. Not until Elvira turns and leaves does he finally snap out of it. News of this quickly spreads throughout the palace. The maids are confused, whispering among themselves about what Elvira might be plotting. The older maid warns the new maid to be careful. "Whenever Elvira is unhappy, she takes it out on us. We must watch what we say and do." As the two talk, Elvira's voice comes through. She wants to ask them a question. The older maid lowers her head in silence, thinking, this wicked woman must be plotting something evil again. Elvira shows a sinister expression and asks them, which of these 2 pairs of shoes suits Rosalyn better? The older maid looks at the shoes with a terrified expression. These shoes must be dangerous. Could they have nails or needles hidden inside? The older maid nervously opens her mouth to speak, but the new maid cheerfully says both pairs are suitable. This terrifies the older maid. She looks at the new maid in horror. The new maid ignores her and chats happily with Elvira. The older maid's expression grows darker and darker. Noticing this, Elvira asks her what's wrong. Are the shoes not pretty? The older maid snaps back and agrees. They're beautiful, but the poor princess. But what Elvira does next shocks her even more. Elvira not only rewards the new maid with jewelry, but also allows her to wear it anytime. This makes the other maids incredibly envious. They all wish they could be in her position. The older maid watches them chat, her mind full of doubt. Elvira really seems like a different person, because she also receives a gift. At this moment, the new maid happily brings desserts to Elvira. Looking at the treats, Elvira's mind fills with creative ideas. Would a strawberry dress suit Rosalyn better, or one with red plum blossoms? Oh, I so want to see Rosalyn in all kinds of dresses. Later, she sets down her teacup and abandons that idea. If I'm there, the little princess will definitely be unhappy or tremble with fear. The queen's conflicted expression is noticed by the young maid beside her. She thoughtfully offers a suggestion. It's all right, Your Majesty. You've been sending gifts to the princess. She surely won't be afraid of you. At these words, the queen excitedly stands up, nearly knocking over the teacup on the table. She chuckles and flashes her signature smile. Then let's prepare and head out right away. In the royal study, the king lets out a cold grunt at his documents. The minister beside him startles. Your Majesty, are you unwell? Shall I come back later? But the king isn't unwell at all. He says calmly, no, I'm fine. Since my marriage, this is the first time I've slept so well. Today is the best I've felt. The minister frowns and asks, then is something troubling you? The king strokes his chin, deep in thought. Yes, this is the first time I've seen her like this. The minister is completely confused. What do you mean? The king slams his pen down on the desk with a snap. He stands up abruptly and looks at the minister. Keep close watch on the queen's movements recently. Report everything to me. This woman has changed completely. He's becoming more and more interested in his queen. Soon, Elvira quietly arrives at the shop. Sweet, beautiful Rosalyn sits blankly in a chair, not daring to make a sound. Her appearance melts Elvira's heart. When the little princess's tutor and nanny selects a burgundy dress for the little princess, the queen hides behind the door, stamping her feet in frustration. What? Such a dark color doesn't suit my adorable daughter at all. Soon, the queen notices all the dresses in the room are adult sizes. Having been a children's clothing designer in her previous life, she doesn't understand at all. There's a huge difference between adult and children's clothing. Children's skin is delicate and soft, and they're constantly growing, so clothes should be more comfortable and easier to move in. But in past centuries, children's clothes weren't made with this in mind. They simply shrank adult clothing, and even made children wear high heels and corsets. Witnessing these backward practices from the books play out before her eyes, the queen clenches her fists secretly. No, I just arrived in this world and haven't figured everything out yet. I need to hold back and focus on design for now. This is the perfect opportunity to understand the little princess's preferences. Later, I'll have chances to make countless comfortable clothes for her. When the little princess's eyes light up at a blue dress, the queen smiles along. But the princess's nanny says, not pretty. Show me other styles. The little princess hides her fondness and lowers her head, silently accepting the nanny's decision. Outrageously, the nanny actually picks out a dress with puffy sleeves, feathered collar, and rainbow colors that looks like a clown costume. The designer nearby seems to notice the little princess's dislike. He immediately brings out a box and introduces. There's also a style that's recently beloved by young ladies in neighboring kingdoms. A pink dress with delicate bows and just the right amount of lace decoration. Longing appears in the little princess's eyes once again. The queen smiles outside the door. She loves it. She really loves it. This dress truly suits my precious girl. However, the nanny says once again, this dress doesn't suit Her Highness the Princess. Standing outside the door, the queen becomes completely furious. She bursts through the room door. Ignoring everyone's attempts to stop her, she buys all the little dresses in the shop. This makes the little princess, who has always feared her stepmother, smile gratefully for the first time. Seeing this, the queen completely loses control. With a loud bang, she slams both hands against the wall under everyone's shocked gazes. What should I do? My daughter is just too adorable. However, the princess's nanny standing nearby looks very displeased. Forgive my rudeness, but the princess's budget cannot cover all the dresses here, the queen declares boldly. That's why I said charge it to my account. My budget is more than sufficient. The two women begin a silent standoff with their eyes. But at this moment, the little princess quietly tugs on the queen's dress. She says shyly, I don't need them. I don't want your majesty to be unable to buy your own dresses because of me. The queen smiles gently. She crouches down and explains to Rosalyn, it's all right, Princess Rosalyn. I don't want to buy that many dresses. Seeing the little princess's hesitation, the queen deliberately uses a request to ease her anxiety. May I ask the princess a favor? When the new dresses arrive, could you wear your favorite one and come see me? The little princess looks at the stepmother who once tormented her in disbelief. Is that all? The grateful gaze makes the queen feel slightly shy. Yes, that's enough. After speaking, the queen stands up to leave. Before leaving, she takes out 2 boxes. Oh, I came to pick out 2 pairs of shoes for you. Rosalyn excitedly covers her mouth. You've given me too much. Amidst the fashion designer's flattering smile and the nanny's fury at having her authority challenged, the queen makes an elegant exit. But the moment she leaves the room, her calm composure and regal bearing vanish completely, leaving only lingering anxiety from her bold confrontation. Was my tone just now too strange? What if people think I'm uncultured? I can't make more enemies. If there's another assassination attempt, I'll really die. After returning to the palace, she lies on the bed and screams, I so want to make little dresses for our adorable Rosalyn with my own hands. Remembering how the little princess gave forced praise to that rainbow clown dress, a pang of pain flashes through the queen's heart. Such a small child hasn't learned to act spoiled yet, but has already learned to read people's expressions. She's at the perfect age for being affectionate. Feeling sorry for the little princess, the queen decides she must get closer to this pitiful child, close enough that she can directly express her joy. Thinking of this, the queen can't help but laugh. When she gets mad, she'll probably be as cute as a rabbit. So the queen personally sews a rabbit for the little princess and places it in an elegant gift box, wanting to find the right moment to give it to her. But the villainous smile on her face causes the king to misunderstand again. Has the queen been pretending to be good all this time, and is she finally showing her true nature? Just as the queen is about to leave the gift at the little princess's door, the king appears before her with his sword. What are you doing there, queen? Elvira performs an impeccable curtsy and explains that what she's holding is just a gift, but the king doesn't believe her at all. He reaches out to open it. The queen sighs deeply. Fine, I'll just think of him as a spoiled rich fool. The king unties the ribbon, and inside indeed lies an exquisite handmade rabbit. But based on his understanding of the queen, there must be poison needles hidden inside. So he throws the doll hard onto the ground, and swiftly draws his sword. Under the queen's disbelieving gaze, he slashes open the rabbit doll she made with her own hands. After inspecting it, he says coldly, "It really is just a doll. I thought there would be needles inside." The queen is now completely furious. She thought sleeping in separate rooms was enough to make him believe she was no longer his desperate pursuer. Seeing the king's completely unapologetic demeanor, Elvira wants to confront him angrily. But with her tendency to cry easily before she can even speak, tears stream down her face. This leaves the king, who expected the queen to become hysterical, suddenly at a loss. He watches as the queen heartbrokenly picks up the doll's remains, still clutching the tattered fragments like treasures in her arms. The king's hands and feet begin to panic. At this moment, a young voice calls out, "Your Majesty the Queen, Father!" Elvira quickly turns around and wipes away her tears, not wanting the little princess to see her in such a state. The sharp-eyed little princess notices the broken doll and asks the queen in confusion, "What's that?" Elvira doesn't know how to explain. She glares furiously at the scumbag. She's about to explain everything, but she sighs. Even if we have no feelings for each other, as parents we shouldn't fight in front of the child. So she lowers her head and apologizes to the little princess. This was supposed to be a gift for Princess Rosalyn, but my needlework might not be very good. So the cotton stuffing came out. Standing nearby, the king's expression changes drastically. When did this woman become so considerate, even covering for him? The little princess looks at the rabbit doll, both touched and regretful. The next second, she opens her arms to the queen and says, "I have a maid who's very skilled at needlework, so give it to me. I'll definitely restore it perfectly." Taking the broken doll, the little princess carefully cradles it in her arms. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I'll treasure it." Already feeling wronged, Elvira chokes up again. How could this scumbag have produced such an angel? His late wife must have been a saint. Seeing the woman he once despised in tears, the scumbag king suddenly feels flustered. He wants to wipe away her tears, but his pride makes him watch helplessly as the queen covers her face and runs away. At this moment, the queen has only one thought. "Oh God, this is so embarrassing. I wanted to tear into that scumbag." She hides behind a pillar where no one can see and takes a deep breath. Calming down, she thinks, even though the scumbag slashed the doll, the little princess still accepted my gift and thanked me. On the other side, the king clutches a fragment of the doll's clothing and stares out the window, lost in thought. His attendant, rarely seeing the king so distracted, asks, "Your Majesty, what are you thinking about?" The king doesn't answer the question, but instead asks his attendant about the queen's recent activities. The attendant also finds it miraculous. The queen no longer torments the maids, and I've heard she's been very kind to everyone. She also frequently sends gifts to Princess Rosalyn. Hearing this, the king can't help but clench his fists. Could I have really misunderstood her? This is the first time he's seen the queen show such an expression. He asks his attendant doubtfully, "Do you also think she's reformed?" The other shows a contemptuous expression. Considering Her Majesty's personality, she's probably just acting. She must be trying to please others to achieve some goal. Just as the king wavers in his thoughts, the ministers outside request an audience. Minister Bernard enters and gets straight to the point. "Your humble servant wishes to discuss taking another wife." Seeing the cold sweat on the king's face, Bernard becomes more smug. You and Her Majesty have been married for a year, but the queen still hasn't conceived. I've even heard you're sleeping in separate rooms. Surely it's because there's something wrong with Her Majesty that you've separated rooms. But no matter how much the scumbag king dislikes the queen, he's never intended to take another wife. The king's cold voice responds, I've said this before. I have no intention of remarrying. The minister looks at the king's attendant in shock. Could the rumors be true? Does His Majesty actually prefer men? The attendant immediately denies it. The reason the king dislikes women so much is because deep in his heart, there's always been a shadow. The previous queen constantly used the king's duty to force him to have children. Just thinking about that snake-like love makes the king's whole body turn cold. He jumps up in fright, pushing away his chair. At this moment, a pink fabric fragment on the ground calms him down. He remembers that only Queen Elvira told him she would no longer force him to fulfill his duties as a husband. This is the first time he's heard that he doesn't need to fulfill his husbandly duties. Yet the queen mentioned his responsibilities as a father. He hasn't visited the little princess in a long time. The king admits he hasn't done very well. Rubbing his throbbing temples, the king sighs helplessly. It seems I can't handle any more work today. He staggers out of the study, intending to rest in his bedroom, but he feels uneasy inside. The maids' reactions are also strange, each one more flustered than usual, but he doesn't think much of it and pushes open the door. The next second, he sees a scene he's never witnessed in his life. His queen sits on a bed covered in rose petals, seductively touching her cheek and saying, Welcome back, Your Majesty. The king's headache intensifies. Didn't we agree to sleep separately? Seeing the disgust on her husband's face, the queen smiles even more happily. She's fully prepared to show the king what despair means, and her carefully designed romantic room will become the king's hell. In his eyes, she must look like the Grim Reaper about to devour him alive. The queen's smile widens. She hopes this scumbag suffers even more. Just like her rabbit that was torn to shreds before it even saw daylight, she lifts the hem of her nightgown, revealing her pale thighs. Under the king's disbelieving gaze, she walks toward him step by step. If Your Majesty can apologize for wrongly accusing me earlier, I'll continue sleeping in separate rooms as we agreed. If you don't apologize, I'll remove this robe. I'm wearing something very revealing underneath. Looking at his wife's stunning beauty, the man can't help but swallow nervously, then says in a disappointed tone he doesn't even notice, I thought the queen would surely use today's incident to demand we share a bed. Elvira's mouth twitches. She thinks, is this man delusional? So she shrugs with an indifferent look. Why would I do such a thing? As I said before, I no longer expect Your Majesty to love me. More importantly, you don't seem to plan on apologizing. Elvira casually runs her fingers through her hair with a queenly demeanor. But it doesn't matter. Until you apologize, I'll come find you every day. Before she finishes speaking, the king interrupts her firmly. I'm sorry. Elvira feels flustered by her husband's sudden change of attitude. She approaches the man step by step. That apology sounds forced. Please apologize to me sincerely. Looking at his wife, younger than him but no less imposing, the king, accustomed to being dominant, finally yields. He performs a deep bow. I'm truly sorry, Queen, for suspecting you, for using such a violent method to verify, and for only apologizing now. This 90-degree bow makes Elvira feel slightly embarrassed. Then she tells the scumbag, King, soberly, I won't long for Your Majesty's love anymore. I have no desire for heirs or power. From now on, I'll live quietly with a low profile. So if Your Majesty wishes, you may take another wife. Hearing these heartless words, the king, accustomed to the queen pursuing him, loses control. He shows an agitated expression for the first time. Through gritted teeth, he says furiously, I won't marry any other woman, now or ever. You will be my only wife. The queen suddenly feels confused. Doesn't this man despise me? Elvira turns coldly, dismissing her husband's explanation as background noise. I should leave now, or there will be strange rumors in the palace tomorrow. Since she stopped chasing after the scumbag, the queen suddenly realizes there are many happy things in life, like lying on the sofa while maids care for her hair and toes. This is the taste of power. Only money won't betray or neglect her. But her maid Lillian insists on asking what happened in the king's room last night. You came out so quickly last night. Does His Majesty prefer innocence over seduction? Elvira's mouth twitches. She really wants to knock on the maid's head to see what's inside, but she still gently reassures Lillian. It's not like that. Don't worry. My relationship with His Majesty isn't like before. The young maid suddenly shows an excited expression, as if she's shipping them. Next time I'll pick more carefully for you. I'll find out about the most famous lingerie designers. Leave it all to me. The queen shivers all over, thinking, if you do that, you might end up on the gallows with me. Just then, the sound of a door opening interrupts their chat. Your Majesty, your gift has arrived. A palace maid brings the gift to Elvira. This is a gift from His Majesty. Elvira jumps up from the sofa in shock. What? The maid beside the queen grins mischievously. Could it be lingerie? Elvira's mouth twitches. That scumbag probably sent me a voodoo doll. Under the maid's expectant gazes, the queen finally opens the box. Inside lie two adorable handmade dolls, each wearing an exquisite little dress. The sharp-eyed maid quickly notices, aren't these cute rabbits the queen and little princess? And the rabbit's eyes are made of gemstones. Under the maid's chattering influence, Elvira can't help thinking, so that guy knows how to apologize? Maybe he's not so bad after all. Suddenly, Elvira discovers a letter lying beside the rabbits. The king wrote personally, "I heard about you buying dresses for the princess. You disregarded palace rules and forcibly used the budget. If you do this again, the queen's allowance will be reduced. Please exercise restraint and self-reflection." After reading, Elvira trembles with rage. She shouldn't have thought better of that scumbag. Under the maid's disbelieving gazes, Elvira tears the king's letter to shreds with her own hands. She decides to focus her attention on her precious darling daughter instead. Changing into another dress, the queen summons the kingdom's most renowned merchant. "I heard you have good things. You won't disappoint me, will you?" The merchant confidently presents 3 bottles of mysterious purple food. The queen excitedly picks up a bottle to examine it, and her face uncontrollably shows a villainous smile. "Perfect! With this, Princess Rosalyn will surely..." The queen's laughter grows more sinister. This makes even the well-traveled merchant show an uneasy expression. Soon, the queen immediately regains her composure. "You've done well." She looks at the other goods the merchant prepared for her. "These are much better than the junk others have given me." The former queen was naive and wealthy. Many merchants took advantage of this and swindled a lot of money from her. However, the current queen has changed. Seeing the cunning merchant take out an ordinary pearl necklace and introduce it. "This is a precious treasure so valuable that not even a mermaid princess would be worthy of it." The queen waves her hand dismissively. The merchant shows a shocked expression and immediately switches to a new scheme. He takes out a cheap blue vase. "This is ceramic I brought from the Eastern continent. What do you think?" "It's a treasured heirloom of Eastern royalty. I obtained it with great difficulty." The queen picks at her ear, thinking obviously fake, and he dares to show it. She coldly says, "Next." Intimidated by her aloof expression, the merchant becomes afraid. Could she have discovered it's fake? But the merchant quickly dismisses this thought and deliberately puts on a serious face. "Worthy of Her Majesty the Queen indeed. It seems such items can no longer satisfy Your Majesty's standards." The merchant begins to act mysterious. "Then let Her Majesty see the rare magical item I specially had made in the Kingdom of Aurora." Elvira drops her casual expression and becomes serious. "Present it quickly." Seeing this, the merchant can't help but laugh smugly to himself. This fool has finally taken the bait. After making one more big profit, I should leave here. So he instructs his attendant to bring out the magical item. Under everyone's expectant gazes, the merchant very carefully opens the box. Then he lifts up an invisible gift and introduces it confidently. "This is a gown woven from dew, morning light, and spider silk. This gown contains magic. It's said that fools and villains cannot see it, but Your Majesty can surely see this beautiful gown clearly. It feels as light and comfortable as wearing nothing, warm in winter and cool in summer, and very beautiful. Such a precious gown is nearly impossible to find in this lifetime." After speaking, a mocking expression appears on the merchant's face. No one around dares to admit they can't see it. His plan has succeeded. The maids continuously praise this beautiful gift, and the merchant smiles even more happily. He holds the non-existent gown and acts as if the queen is getting a bargain. "It looks very suitable for the beautiful queen. I'll sell it to you at half price, 300,000 gold coins." But Elvira says haughtily, "How strange. To me, this looks more like a gentleman's evening wear. Compared to me, a woman, shouldn't it suit you better? Try it on first. If it looks good, I'll buy it for His Majesty." Seeing the sinister expression on the queen's face, the merchant frantically closes the box. "I thought about it. I seem to have brought the wrong item. I'll bring other goods next time." "However," Elvira says in a tone that brooks no refusal, "I'm telling you to put it on. I'm ordering you, not suggesting." At these words, 2 guards drag the merchant away to change his clothes. In the blink of an eye, the merchant becomes a naked man kneeling on the ground. At this moment, Elvira still mocks him sarcastically. "Not bad. The gown does look quite nice." She then orders the merchant who dared to fool her to be thrown into prison. Listening to the merchant's pleas for mercy, the queen feels a headache coming on. Nowadays, just anyone dares to look down on her. She then commands from her high position to let the next merchant group waiting outside come in. But everything the following merchants present turns out to be utterly unremarkable. This infuriates the queen. She flies into a rage in front of everyone. "Don't you have anything cute and novel that an 11-year-old girl would like?" Everyone is utterly shocked. Isn't this wicked stepmother only interested in buying things for herself? When did she start actively shopping for the little princess? Disappointed, Elvira is just about to head back to the palace when a merchant hesitates for a moment before stepping forward. "Your Majesty, I actually have a genuine magical item." Elvira's face clearly reads, "I don't believe you." She curls her lip. "Is that so?" Another transparent gown. The blonde merchant immediately takes it out. "This is the mirror of truth crafted by elves. It's called the mirror that speaks only truth." The queen's interest is piqued. "Isn't this the important item from that Snow White fairy tale?" Lifting the white cloth covering the mirror, Elvira carefully runs her fingers across its surface. Then she reveals a sinister smile. "Mirror, mirror, tell me, who is the most beautiful person in this world?" As everyone holds their breath in anticipation, the mirror answers in an extremely cheeky voice. "Well, it certainly isn't the person asking such a stupid question." Everyone present is horrified. The merchant who presented the mirror is so terrified his jaw drops. He touches his head nervously, thinking this is the end for him. The merchant quickly kneels, and kowtows frantically. Your Majesty, I sincerely apologize. My servant seems to have brought a defective product I had set aside for return. Please spare my life. Before the queen can speak, the mirror can't help but interrupt. What? Defective? You dare call me defective? Do you think I'm like those pieces of junk created just to shower noblewomen with ridiculous flattery? The merchant hastily covers the mirror with the white cloth and orders, "Take it out immediately. Put it in the carriage first, then bring a new mirror. Quickly!" But just as everyone scrambles about in confusion, the queen suddenly yanks the white cloth off the mirror. "Were you just calling me stupid? Why do you say that?" That snarky male voice responds again. "Of course it's because your question is utterly ridiculous. Who is the most beautiful person in the world? Who can possibly answer such a subjective and abstract question? There are countless people in this world, and everyone has different aesthetic standards. To some people, perhaps you might be considered the most beautiful, while to others, the most beautiful person might be the woman standing behind you. Everyone assumes the queen will smash it to pieces. But who would have guessed?" The queen smiles wickedly and says, "I'm buying this mirror. I'm very satisfied." Everyone is so shocked their jaws nearly hit the floor. Is this still the same ill-tempered wicked queen? Elvira cheerfully hangs the mirror in her bedroom. She asks excitedly, "What should I call you? Do you have a name?" An indifferent male voice responds, "I'm just called the mirror." Elvira looks at him with disdain. Who on earth came up with that name? It's so tacky and careless. The usually composed mirror gets flustered. "Who gives a mirror a proper name?" The queen laughs heartily, teasing him like a puppy. "Then how about I call you Verity?" The chatty mirror falls silent. "How is this notoriously stupid wicked woman so different from what he imagined?" He shouts excitedly, "The name you gave me, Verity, does it mean truth?" Elvira catches the satisfaction in the mirror's tone. She puts her hands on her hips and asks casually, "Besides your sharp tongue, what other abilities do you have?" The mirror answers proudly, "I'm smarter than all the civil officials in this palace." He thought to himself that as a mirror, his life was inherently very short, so he had already prepared himself to be shattered into pieces. Rather than fawning and flattering that notorious queen only to be humiliated, he figured he might as well die. But the mirror never expected the queen to be completely different from the rumors. He decides to serve this wise though seemingly foolish queen well. Elvira looks at herself in the mirror and finds herself quite beautiful, but talking to herself in the mirror makes her feel like a fool. So she asks the mirror to transform into its own form. As soon as she finishes speaking, the mirror suddenly blurs. In the blink of an eye, a handsome young man appears. Elvira gives a thumbs up. "Now that's more like it." Looking at the youth in the mirror, Elvira decides to establish 3 rules with him. First, you cannot speak to me in a frivolous manner. Second, just like your name suggests, I hope you'll always tell me the truth. Most importantly, don't lie to me or flatter me. The mirror agrees to the first 2 conditions, but freezes at the last one. The queen viciously pokes the mirror. "Listen carefully. The most beautiful person in this world is Princess Rosalyn. Got it? When I ask you from now on, this is how you must answer." The mirror instantly becomes unhappy. He said this type of question about who is most beautiful has no answer. He simply cannot answer it. And didn't she just tell him to speak the truth? The queen says dismissively, "This is the truth." Faced with the mirror's stubborn insistence, Elvira instantly reveals a terrifying villainous smile. She slams her hand forcefully on the mirror. "Will you say it or not?" The stepmother shows a sinister expression and asks the mirror, "Who is the most beautiful person in this world?" The mirror answers calmly, "It is Princess Rosalyn." The wicked stepmother doesn't get angry after hearing this. Instead, she continues asking happily, "Who is the most lovable person in this world?" The mirror answers word by word, "It is Princess Rosalyn." Hearing this answer, the wicked stepmother gets even more excited. "Then who is the cutest, most adorable person in this world?" The mirror shouts in exasperation, "Rosalyn! Rosalyn! It's all Princess Rosalyn, all right? I'm begging you, stop asking me. How many times is this now?" The mirror considers himself the fairest and most impartial existence in the world. He never lies. Questions about judging people's appearance are actually very subjective. The mirror originally refuses to answer, but the queen threatens him that he must answer Princess Rosalyn, or she'll smash the mirror. At the moment of compromise, the mirror feels his beliefs and self-respect shatter to the ground. Meanwhile, the queen picks at her ear like a scoundrel forcing himself on an innocent woman and complains, "For someone who doesn't even have a mouth, how can your voice be so loud? Also, when you speak to me, your attitude should be respectful." The mirror doesn't want to deal with this wicked woman at all. He angrily turns around and scolds, "Rather than being forced by you, I'd rather go flatter noble women. You've already asked me the same question 11 times today." The queen, who has eyes only for her precious daughter, doesn't even notice. She scratches her head a bit sheepishly. "Did I ask that many times?" The mirror becomes even more exasperated. "This is too much. How can you talk about nothing but Princess Rosalyn from morning to night?" The queen apologizes to the mirror, then says with a smile, "Then let's move on to the next topic." She cups her face, utterly excited. "I want to give Rosalyn gifts. Shoes, bags, accessories, gowns. About 20 different types. Can you help me?" Hearing it's about the little princess again, the mirror clutches his head with a headache. "No, I won't choose, you wicked master!" He roars so loudly the queen's head buzzes, nearly dying on the spot. This broken mirror keeps speaking to her in such an unreasonable manner. Maybe she should just let him be shattered. But the next second, the queen softens. She She thinks to herself that he reminds her of both her younger brother and her male best friend. She should let him off the hook. Seeing the mirror's angry state, the queen backs down first. She gently calls the mirror's name. Verity, I'm the queen. In the palace, I can't discuss these things with others. You're the only one I can rely on. Keep me company talking about Rosalyn, won't you? I'll also listen to you tell me about the magical stories you like. Hearing the queen's coaxing, the proud mirror finally agrees. Well, if that's the case, I suppose I'll reluctantly keep you company. The nanny makes 11-year-old Rosalyn wear high heels and a corset, under the pretense of training her elegant posture. Even the little princess's stepmother can't bear to watch. There's actually a woman more wicked than me. For such a young child to have to walk in a straight line every day balancing a heavy tome on her head is truly torturous. But seeing the little princess's tender face showing seriousness beyond her years, the queen tightly covers her mouth to keep herself from squealing. Oh my goodness, my daughter is so adorable! The queen clenches her fists tightly, holding back all her excessive praise for the little princess. She absolutely cannot break her wicked stepmother character. At this moment, she only regrets that this era has no cameras and she cannot capture every adorable moment of the little princess. Suddenly, the little princess twists her ankle. As she wobbles, the tome falls from her head. The little princess looks at the nanny in terror. Sure enough, the other woman's brows furrow tightly. While bending down to pick up the book from the floor, she scolds the little princess in the calmest tone. Your Highness, why can't you master court etiquette perfectly like your birth mother? After this passive-aggressive remark, the nanny forcefully places the book back on the little princess's head, but walking steadily in high heels is still too difficult for the 11-year-old princess. The book falls off several more times. The nanny sighs deeply and reproaches the little princess in a disappointed tone. Beauty and elegance come from posture. Even in magnificent gowns, if your posture is improper, you'll lose all radiance. For a woman, the most important thing is beauty. The second most important thing is also beauty. Listening to this absurd statement, the queen standing nearby feels furious. The little princess is still a child. This is too strict, especially when a mere nanny presumes to lecture the little princess from such a superior position. The queen trembles with anger. Why tell a child that beauty is the most important thing? What kind of feudal indoctrination is this? Memories from her past life plunge the queen into pain. Her father told her, as long as a woman is pretty, her life is a success. Friends complained privately. Ugly women aren't really women. An overweight and pompous boss criticized her. You're a girl. Why don't you pay attention to your figure and appearance? Look at me, I'm all muscle. Men just need to be capable. Her pretty best friend lectured her too. You should lose weight. If you have money, get some minor cosmetic work done. I'm only saying this because I'm your friend. I'm doing this for your own good. You've already worked so hard. Your education and resume are excellent. But if you get eliminated at the interview stage, don't you feel wronged? The nanny says to the princess again. Your waist measurement has increased recently. Have you been sneaking extra meals? The nanny says in an I'm doing this for your own good tone. If this continues, you'll only be allowed to eat 1 meal a day. The queen standing nearby can't help but roll her eyes. Restricting the diet of an 11-year-old child who's still growing is insane. Moreover, the little princess is already smaller and thinner than her peers. She clears her throat, interrupting the nanny and governess's lecture. Rosalyn, I have a gift for you. The little princess looks at the queen with anticipation. What is it? Elvira opens the lid for her. The room instantly fills with a sweet, fragrant aroma. Rosalyn's mouth waters with desire. The little princess first politely thanks the queen, then eagerly reaches her hand inside. Just then, the nanny's stern voice rings out. Your Highness, you're not seriously planning to eat that, are you? Rosalyn trembles, seemingly very afraid of this nanny. Upon hearing this, she timidly withdraws her hand. The nanny becomes even more aggressive, turning to the queen. Your Majesty, the princess's current condition requires dietary control. I'm very sorry, but please take back your gift. The queen is about to object, but the nanny looks at her with a strange expression. Didn't you say the princess education would be entirely under my supervision? The queen is instantly speechless. How can she explain that she's a modern person from the 21st century who has transmigrated here? And why on earth did this body say such things? Seeing the queen defend her, the little princess feels warmth in her heart. But at the same time, she obediently tugs at the queen's clothes and says, Your Majesty, I'm fine. It's all right if I don't eat the honey cookies you gave me. She blushes and explains the reason for her recent weight gain. I'm sorry. It's because I've been too gluttonous that Before she finishes, Elvira can't help but interrupt. Rosalyn, you're a princess. If you want to eat, then eat. However, the nanny nearby persists relentlessly. She has always believed that beauty is a woman's most powerful weapon. The nanny reproaches the queen without courtesy. I can understand your majesty's desire to give the princess sweets, but to have the ideal figure to wear gowns, the princess's weight cannot increase any further. To deny a child food for such a ridiculous reason. The queen frowns and retorts. Is a piece of clothing more important than the princess's healthy growth? She declares. From now on, I'll have someone else take charge of the princess's diet and health management. The nanny tries to say something to salvage the situation, but is ruthlessly interrupted by the queen. You're dismissed. I still have things to say to the princess. The nanny, flaunting her seniority, storms off angrily and deliberately slams the door loudly. But the queen doesn't care at all, nor is she afraid of offending the powerful family behind the nanny. Before her transmigration, she was a girl without what looks who was slightly overweight. She once skipped dinner to lose weight and even took appetite suppressants. But in the end, she literally starved to death. Now she cannot watch someone else repeat her mistakes, but the little princess beside her is frightened by the queen's intensity. She explains nervously, "Your Majesty, please don't be angry. I won't eat the cookies." Hearing this, the queen feels guilty. How could she lose her temper in front of a child? For the first time, her face, which only knew villainous smiles, shows a gentle expression. Elvira crouches down, looking at the little princess at eye level and explains, "I'm not angry. Also, you can eat the cookies now. You're so small and thin. You don't need to lose weight at all." Watching the queen open the crystal jar, the little princess swallows hard. She takes a deep breath, lowers her head and says, "But if I gain weight, my gowns won't fit." The queen looks at Rosalyn seriously and says, "So what? For children, you can eat lots of snacks. You should grow up happy and healthy. This is your right, and this right cannot be taken away by adults for any reason. So remember, nothing is more important than Princess Rosalyn's happiness." The little princess, who once had a father who didn't care and no mother, experiences being cherished for the first time. After hesitating for a moment, she accepts the honey cookie the queen hands her, making sure once more that this adult before her isn't just saying empty words. The little princess carefully puts the cookie in her mouth. Crunch! A crisp sound rings out. The wonderful flavor of the cookie blossoms on her tongue. With the queen's permission, Rosalyn eats one after another. Suddenly, tears of emotion stream down her face. The queen hugs her tightly. Just a few cookies and she's crying like this? How much suffering has this small child endured? The queen hurriedly embraces the little princess to comfort her. "From now on, as long as the princess wants to eat something, you can eat as much as you want. I'll bring you all the cookies and candies in this world." The little princess sobs in her stepmother's arms. She has struggled through 11 difficult years. Others envy her noble birth, but no one knows she actually envies ordinary children who can sit with their parents and share a warm dinner. The queen holds the small Rosalyn with heartache. Her body is far too frail for her actual age. Is it because restricting her diet too early has delayed her development? The queen gently pats the little princess's back while tenderly promising, "Tomorrow I'll bring pastries. The day after, I'll bring you delicious candies. I'll bring you a sweet treat every day. I'll let you taste all the desserts in this world. So don't cry, Rosalyn. Please always smile as brightly as the sun." The little princess wipes away her tears and immediately offers a sweet smile. Dinner time arrives. At the enormous dining table sit only the king and queen. In the awkward atmosphere, Elvira still eats heartily. She thinks miserably. This meal is utterly tasteless. She's eating so much she's practically getting indigestion, not even talking while eating. This awful scumbag king, why did he even call me back to eat together? The next second, that statue-like man finally speaks. He says coldly, "I heard you had an argument with Rosalyn's nanny. Is this true?" Elvira spits out a mouthful of juice. Under the king's disgusted gaze, she wipes her mouth, puts down her eating utensils, and answers, "Yes, that did happen." The king is intrigued by her rare honesty. "Can you tell me why?" Mentioning that woman makes Elvira angry, because she failed to prepare meals for the princess with care. The king, as the little princess's father, had never actually asked about his daughter's life. This time, he only intervened because of the nanny's complaint. "Lady Helen says she did this for Rosalyn's sake." Elvira shows a mocking smile. But not feeding her is extremely cruel to a young princess. But he still doesn't believe his wife has changed. He's certain she's putting on an act to get his attention. So the scumbag king says gravely to the queen that nanny believes Rosalyn is too young and lacks the ability to make independent judgments, so she chooses gowns for Rosalyn. Hearing this, Elvira's brow furrows so deeply it could crush a fly. That ridiculous gown is so ugly even adults wouldn't want to wear it. Even cats and dogs have their own preferences. Can Princess Rosalyn, born as a human, not distinguish good from bad? Overwhelmed by Elvira's powerful presence, the king speaks humbly to his wife for the first time. "Then what would you like to do, my lady? We need to find someone to replace Lady Helen." Elvira takes a deep breath to calm herself. As long as it's someone who respects Princess Rosalyn, anyone will do. Hearing this perfect, flawless answer, the scumbag still insists on nitpicking. He thinks to himself that Lady Helen was the late queen's person. The queen surely wants to drive her away to consolidate her own political position. He remembers that the queen had previously said she had no desire for heirs or power and wanted to live quietly with a low profile. The man lowers his head and deliberately tests her. "Then I'll select a nanny from the late queen's family. You have no objections, right?" Elvira shrugs indifferently. "Yes, I have no objections, as long as she doesn't restrict Rosalyn's diet." The king tilts his head, looking at his wife with surprise. She really doesn't seem to have any malicious intentions. So in a much better mood, he teases her. The queen seems to consider diet very important. This makes Elvira suddenly blush. Is he mocking me for eating too much? But objectively speaking, my current figure is quite slender. Elvira shakes her head forcefully, trying to throw that thought out of her mind. Don't jump to conclusions. He's not crazy enough to do that. Meanwhile, the king rests his chin in his hand, watching his wife, and suddenly has a good idea. How about the queen teaches the little princess herself? This king dislikes his wife, but secretly secretly hides in corners observing her every move. This behavior greatly puzzles his attendant. Your Majesty, have you perhaps developed feelings for Her Majesty the Queen? The scumbag shows a mocking smile upon hearing the words developed feelings. He himself doesn't believe he could ever fall in love with any woman. Royal marriages are nothing but transactions. The attendant hesitates to speak, compared to his intelligence. The king's emotional intelligence is truly low. Meanwhile, the queen, who has no thoughts whatsoever about this awful man, is nervous because she's about to dine with the little princess. She gulps down 3 large glasses of water. Elvira finally calms down, but her heart still beats wildly. Thump, 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 thump. Elvira thinks to herself that last time dining with the king, she was so awkward she nearly got indigestion. But this time, she's only nervous. The queen hurriedly asks her personal maid nearby, "Lillian, how does my face look? I don't look scary, do I?" The maid's mouth twitches, answering with excessive honesty. "Your Majesty, although your face looks a bit frightening, you're still very beautiful." The queen feels alarmed. "No, this won't do. If it's like this, she'll definitely frighten the little princess." She picks up a gleaming spoon and tries to make a gentle expression. However, the reflective spoon only shows an expression more terrifying than an old witch. The queen pounds the table in despair, thinking, "Forget it, I'd better not smile." Just as the queen anxiously worries, footsteps and a voice as clear as a lark ring out. "Good morning, Your Majesty. Am I late?" This voice is so wonderful it makes the queen forget her troubles. She has only one thought, "Oh my goodness, Rosalyn is so adorable today too." She quickly invites the little princess to sit down, then forcefully controls the corners of her mouth to keep from smiling. "Stay calm. What if I scare the little princess away?" As a noble little princess, she can only eat salad for her 3 meals a day, and only half portions at that. When the queen hears about this, an angry expression flashes across her face. How dare these people bully Rosalyn like this? However, the other maids in the palace misunderstand when they see the queen's expression. Is the queen thinking about how to bully the little princess? At her personal maid Lillian's reminder, the queen quickly clears her throat. She immediately recovers her dignified and beautiful composure, then says gently to the little princess, "With me, you can eat as much as you want. You don't have to force yourself to eat a lot, and you don't have to deliberately eat less." Rosalyn's eyes instantly light up. She quickly brings the hot soup to her lips with a spoon. After closing her eyes and savoring it carefully, Rosalyn looks at the queen with a smile. "This is so delicious." The little one's happiness over the delicious food lifts the queen's spirits. She thinks to herself, "Just watching her eat fills me up. This must be how elders feel during holidays." Feeding a child is truly joyful, especially when the little princess's cheeks puff out like a little squirrel. This makes the queen curse the former nanny inwardly. How could she let such an adorable child go hungry? Suddenly, the queen frowns. The king, as the child's father, sees the little princess eating so little yet remains so indifferent. To verify her thoughts, she asks the little princess softly, "Rosalyn, when you dine with His Majesty, doesn't he say anything?" A trace of disappointment flashes across Rosalyn's face. "Actually, I've never dined with father." The queen is shocked. This child is already 13 years old, and the king has never once eaten with his own daughter. Yet the little princess says considerately, "Because father is busy with state affairs. We've always dined separately." The queen covers her mouth in horror. Why is the king so cold toward his own daughter? She had heard a few rumors about the king. Queen Million passed away shortly after giving birth to Rosalyn. Afterward, the king didn't remarry for 10 whole years. People were amazed by his devoted love. Throughout these long years, the king remained haunted by memories of his deceased queen. Did he ever think that if this child hadn't been born, he wouldn't have lost his beloved? So the rumors say the king deeply dislikes the little princess. The current queen rests her chin on her hand, utterly displeased. But this isn't Rosalyn's fault at all. How can such an adorable daughter exist in this world? When she notices her mother loves desserts, she restrains her own appetite and pushes the dessert toward the queen. "I want you to eat more." Hearing such well-behaved and thoughtful words, the queen's heart melts in this moment. "My Rosalyn, how can you be so adorable and kind?" The queen murmurs excitedly to herself, "Oh no, let me just pinch those cheeks." But the next second, the queen waves her hand and restrains herself. "Feeding the little princess is her primary mission," she says with a smile. "Thank you for wanting to feed me. I appreciate the thought. Actually, I hope you can try this cream puff too. There's plenty more, so don't worry." The little princess eating the cream puff gets so excited that her big eyes sparkle with shining stars. Watching her, the queen's maternal instincts overflow again. She can't help but curse that jerk of a king internally. How can he harbor hatred towards such an adorable child? It must be because he's never seen this expression. The queen suddenly thinks of a revenge plan. Since he's never seen it, I'll just make him see it. The queen picks up her teacup with an evil smile. "Ignoring such an adorable daughter, I'll make you regret it." The little princess beside her is utterly confused by the queen's villainous smile. Can someone tell me what's wrong with the queen now? After the meal, the queen rushes straight to the king. The moment he sees her, the king unconsciously begins to tense up. When he hears the queen say she wants to ask him for something, he nervously swallows. This woman doesn't want me to share her bed, does she? Who knew the queen is actually asking him to dine with Princess Rosalyn once every day from now on? The handsome man rests his chin on his hand with a look of incomprehension. It's about Rosalyn again. Do they really need to eat together? Rosalyn isn't a child anymore, he refuses coldly. I don't want the heir to the throne to become too pampered. The queen is so angry she wants to stomp her feet. She finally can't hold back and shouts, "This isn't about pampering. I'm only suggesting this because I hope you two can improve your parent-child relationship." The king's eyes widen. Family? He and the little princess are indeed family. The man starts wildly speculating again. Though I don't understand what this has to do with dining with Rosalyn, but I heard the princess and queen often dine together, so you want me to dine with both of you? Facing this presumptuous man, the queen can't help but roll her eyes. Of course you don't need to dine with me. I mean you and the little princess. The air freezes for a moment. The king watches coldly as the queen gestures wildly. She explains nervously, breaking into a sweat. I've said you don't need to fulfill your duties as a husband. You only need to fulfill your duties as a father. The king stares intently at his wife, which puts immense pressure on the queen. The next second, this jerk of a king asks a difficult question. What exactly do you mean by a husband's duties? The queen doesn't know how to answer for a moment. Under the man's cold gaze, she stammers. For example, loving words of affection and sharing a bed, I suppose. The moment it concerns herself, the queen loses her assertive demeanor. Her cheeks flush red and her mind goes blank. The king takes the opportunity to ask a question that has puzzled him for a long time. Then why doesn't the queen want my attention anymore? She certainly can't publicly announce that it's because she isn't really his wife. Her stammering and reluctance to explain is misinterpreted by the man as proof that his wife must have a lover. He explains calmly, I'm not accusing you. It doesn't matter to me if you have a lover. If you become pregnant, we'll just consider it my child. For you, this proposal isn't bad, is it? The king looks up and is startled by the scene before him, shrinking back. The queen digs her long nails into the sofa. Her hair stands on end in rage, transforming her into an angry Medusa. That stunning face now shows only fury. Your Majesty, what did you just say? Then she explains with extreme seriousness. I would never do anything to bring shame upon myself, although since transmigrating, her behavior as queen has been somewhat erratic. She understands very well that the original owner of this body had always used her royal pride and self-respect to fight against the bone-deep loneliness. She feels indignant on the original owner's behalf. A lover? Is this how you see me, Your Majesty? Disregarding etiquette, she shouts. Even if we're only husband and wife in name, I am still your wife, the queen of this kingdom. How dare you insult me like this? With a loud bang, Elvira slams both hands on the table. The king becomes somewhat flustered. He quickly apologizes while also not understanding why recently, whenever it involves the queen, he loses control. Not expecting the king to back down so quickly, Elvira feels a bit embarrassed. Her ferocious momentum vanishes without a trace. Then you must agree to dine with the little princess, and only then will I forgive you. The cornered king agrees, breaking into a sweat. But the next second, he starts bargaining. Once a day is too frequent. It will interfere with handling state affairs. How about once a month? The queen sits calmly on the sofa and replies in a tone that brooks no refusal. Once every 3 days would be acceptable. The king asks his wife in a softer tone, how about once every 2 weeks? But the queen still won't budge. I said once every 3 days, so it's once every 3 days. The king covers his face, conflicted inside. But the next second, after seeing the queen's determined, almost martyred expression, he can't help but laugh. Finally, he says in a teasing tone, then let's do as you say. Every 3 days, I'll dine with the little princess once. However, the queen must also be present. The queen is startled. Doesn't this man dislike me? Why is he suddenly interested in me? Seeing Elvira's reluctant expression, the king says, if you're unwilling, then my dining with Rosalyn is also off the table. Hearing this, Elvira quickly replies, fine, I'll also dine with you both. The king smiles. It seems we've reached an agreement. Just notify me when the dining date arrives. Elvira looks speechless. Fine, I understand. After hesitating for a moment, Elvira still wants the king to answer a question that has puzzled her for a long time. The king asks Elvira what it is. Is the reason you won't share my bed and distance yourself from the little princess because of the former queen? The king is stunned at her words. Huh? Elvira says with a shy expression, I heard you deeply loved the former queen. Because of this, you distanced yourself from the little princess after the former queen passed away. The king is completely speechless. Elvira's imagination is a bit too vivid. When Elvira is about to say something else, the king interrupts her. Who told you these things? What things? That I deeply loved the former queen. Returning to her own palace, Elvira lies on the sofa and complains to the mirror of truth. So what they said were all rumors? The mirror asks, and then? Then I asked him why he distances himself from the little princess. Then she mimics the king's tone, saying, because I don't know what fatherly love is. He clearly has such an adorable child. Why doesn't he like her? The queen really can't understand the king's way of thinking. At this moment, the mirror shows an enticing smile. I've heard a few rumors in the palace that might be related to that matter. Do you want to hear them? The queen keenly smells juicy gossip and nods repeatedly. Because the mirror can go to any place with mirrors, he learned that the little princess might not be the king's daughter. Hearing this shocking secret, the queen cries out, what? The former queen had an affair? The queen realizes her voice is a bit too loud. She quickly covers her mouth and leans close to the mirror, asking, is Is this true? The mirror explains, it was said that for this reason, the king dislikes the little princess and no longer trusts women. Thinking about the king's terrible temper toward her, everything seems to make sense. But no matter how you look at it, the little princess and the king look exactly alike. Even if someone said she popped directly out of the king's belly, people would believe it. The mirror shakes its head. But she also resembles another person, the king's half-brother Leonard. The queen feels like she's learned some incredible information. Oh my god, this is like a dramatic primetime soap opera. The king was actually betrayed by his own half-brother. If the rumors are true, then the little princess and the king's relationship can never improve. The queen wails in despair. The mirror consoles her. Maybe it's just a rumor. It still needs to be verified. Elvira asks the mirror how to verify it. The mirror smiles mysteriously. Didn't I tell you? All mirrors can be my eyes. Then the image of the king working in his office appears in the mirror. Elvira looks at the king in the mirror with surprise. Are you showing him directly to me? The mirror says, yes, if we observe him directly, we might get some information. Elvira's face darkens. This method is a bit strange. I can imagine how angry they'd be if they found out. So she holds her hands protectively to her chest. You don't use this method to spy on me, do you? The mirror responds righteously. Of course not. I know how to respect privacy. Then the mirror asks, if they don't use this method, what other way is there? Elvira thinks, should I just go ask him directly in a bit? The mirror asks with a look of disbelief, are you stupid? Hearing this, Elvira becomes a bit defensive. Of course I know he won't tell the truth, but I think some things are better heard directly from the person involved. The mirror sighs helplessly. Elvira spreads her hands. I just hope that through frequent meetings, their relationship will warm up. In the kitchen, everyone is preparing the king, queen, and little princess's lunch in an orderly manner. The head chef announces loudly to everyone, this is the first time the king and the little princess are dining together. We must prepare everything perfectly. Everyone responds, yes, everything is being prepared. Then the head chef casually instructs a purple-haired servant to bring up the prepared meal. The servant hurriedly pushes the cart outside. Someone is waiting for her on the way. The person is actually the little princess's former nanny. She says she wants to add some seasoning to the little princess's meal. She even feels the amount poured in is too little. She actually lifts the lid directly and pours in half the bottle in one go. This bold move leaves the servant stunned. She carefully asks what this is. The nanny calmly tells her it's just seasoning. She even invites the servant to taste it. The servant sprinkles a little on her palm. She tastes it with her tongue. Actually, the taste is quite good. Only then does she feel relieved and push the food into the dining room. The nanny watches the cart gradually disappear, gripping the bottle tightly. She has already hidden the same bottle in the queen's chambers. Once the incident is discovered and an investigation begins, the most suspicious person will be the queen. Who told you to provoke me? This is the price you'll pay. The servant follows the nanny's instructions and places the powder-laced meal in front of the little princess. She's so nervous she breaks into a cold sweat. It's just seasoning. Nothing will happen. The little princess's fork is just about to pierce the meat. The queen suddenly speaks up. Wait a moment. It seems the princess and I have switched plates. Because I don't like asparagus, I instructed the kitchen not to include it. The servant suddenly remembers the head chef did mention this, and her legs nearly give out from fright. She stares as the queen eats the steak. Seeing the queen shows no unusual reactions, she finally relaxes. The queen wipes her mouth. Today's dinner is as delicious as always. The seasoning is just a bit heavy. After tasting just a little, she restrains her appetite. I can't eat anymore. My dress is getting a bit tight. I need to lose weight. Although the little princess tells her she doesn't need to diet. In her past life, she suffered mockery for being ugly and overweight. This makes the queen especially cherish this life's beautiful appearance. But then again, normally at times like this, people should chat while drinking tea. But this cold king doesn't say a word and just focuses on drinking tea. To break the awkwardness, the queen can only desperately try to liven the atmosphere. Little princess, today's dress suits you so well. As she speaks, she also gives the king meaningful looks, hinting for him to compliment her too. After a while, Elvira looks at her adorable little princess, who has actually grown wings. The stepmother rubs her eyes hard. Could my precious daughter be a little fairy? The little princess blinks her big eyes and asks worriedly, are you all right? Her soft and adorable appearance melts her motherly heart completely. The queen rubs her hands together excitedly. Little princess, you're so adorable. You were adorable yesterday, adorable today, and you'll be adorable tomorrow. After saying this, she turns to ask the king's opinion. She's just too adorable, isn't she? Usually, the queen is always harsh toward the king. He has never seen the queen in such an excited, over-the-top state. He can only dumbly agree. Yes, very adorable. The queen finds the king's voice too quiet and orders him to say it louder. She even shouts while gesturing wildly, but her emotions are like a roller coaster. The next second, she's dejected to the point of tears. Poor little princess having to endure all this at such a young age. How heartbroken she must be. Then she turns her criticism toward His Majesty beside her. Why don't you cherish such a beautiful daughter? Do you see? She's a little fairy with wings on her back. The king is completely confused. The queen clearly didn't drink, so why is she acting drunk and disorderly? No wait, it's somewhat different from being drunk. The queen reaches out toward the princess and holds her in her arms, rocking her back and forth. She rambles incoherently. The king helplessly holds his forehead. It seems she's so disoriented she can't hear anything anymore. So he orders his attendant to take the little princess back to her room. He also summons the royal physician. He turns around, wanting to help the queen up. The queen's mind is completely confused. She slumps against the chair back, muttering nonsense. The king irritably rubs his temples. But the next second, the woman beneath him suddenly has clear eyes, staring straight at him. Their eyes meet, and only now does the king discover the queen's pupils are bright purple. The king watches helplessly as the queen's hand reaches toward his face. Finally, it gently caresses him. Her lips slowly draw near. Overcome with nervousness, the king can't help but close his eyes. But what greets him is a slap from the queen. "So you're the one abusing my little princess." The queen viciously pinches and kneads the king's cheeks. "Why won't you eat with the little princess? And you even slashed the rabbit doll I gave her. Are you even human?" The guard's jaw drops to the floor in shock. After recovering, he frantically rushes forward to rescue the king from this brutal assault. The king rubs his swollen red face, thinking only about getting the queen medical attention quickly. That's right, the queen has been poisoned. She feels her entire brain turning into mush. She wants to walk back to her room on her own, but dizziness overwhelms her and she collapses to the ground. She can only hear someone anxiously calling her name. After a long time, the queen struggles to open her heavy eyelids. She recalls in a daze. First she was dining with the little princess. Then somehow she was holding her in her arms and rocking her. And then I actually slapped the king! Help me, what on earth did I do? The queen buries her head in the blanket and rolls around in bed like a distressed crocodile. But the king doesn't hold her rudeness against her. He pulls her out from under the blanket. "I know you were rambling because you were disoriented. A large amount of nutmeg powder was placed in your food. Although nutmeg powder is a common spice, taking it in excess causes side effects, such as dizziness, excitement, hallucinations, and incoherent speech. With each symptom the royal physician mentions, the king's expression darkens further. Someone who doesn't fear death dared to reach out to those around him. He announces furiously, "I've decided to execute the head chef in 1 week. Whether it was a mistake or deliberate, he endangered the safety of the royal family." The queen bolts upright. "Isn't that too extreme? Losing his head just for adding too much seasoning? Can't you be more lenient?" The king looks at the queen with confusion. "He's the one who poisoned you. Even so, you still think the death penalty is too severe?" The queen earnestly pleads with the king. "I'm already safe and sound. Please rescind your order. If the head chef is executed just because of excessive seasoning, it will weigh heavily on my conscience." The king looks at her deeply. The queen before him is completely different from the vicious woman in his memory. "I understand. Then I'll postpone his punishment for now."